Yes, guys, welcome to today's presentation where we're going to be talking all about macronutrients. So last time we talked about calories, basically how many calories you need to, number one, maintain your weight. And then from there, based on if you want to gain weight or lose body fat, how to make the adjustments from there. So by now, you should already know how many calories you need to eat based on your goals. And again, this number will differ from person to person. Quick little reminder in case you guys forgot from last video. Simply take your body weight in pounds, multiply by 15, and then do like a 2-week trial experiment, see how your weight fluctuates, and then from there, add or subtract calories to get you to where you want to be. And now that we have found our calories, we have to now figure out like what to actually eat or how to actually fill those calories. And the way we fill those calories are with macronutrients. So there are 3 main macronutrients, which I'll touch on the next slide. But firstly, I want you guys to just understand or comprehend macronutrients. So I want you guys to think of macronutrients as almost like the big building blocks of food. Just like houses are made of bricks, wood, and glass, our food is made out of 3 main parts. So the first one is carbohydrates, secondly, proteins, and third is fats. And now these are the big nutrients that give us most of our energy and help our bodies grow and stay healthy. These are absolutely vital. They're called macronutrients for a reason because you need them in large quantities as opposed to micronutrients, which you only need in like smaller portions. So macronutrients are going to be absolutely key and you need every single one of them. Actually, before we touch on how many you need, I do want to bust a couple myths. So these aren't necessarily myths, but something that kind of like grinds my gears is you'll see a lot of people on social media or maybe even people you see at the gym or at your office desk or wherever it may be, maybe at the park. I don't know who talks to you at the park about diets, but let's say someone talks to you at the park like, oh my goodness, like what diet do you follow? And they're like, oh, it's the keto diet, or oh, it's the paleo diet, or it's the carnivore diet, all these different diets. And the reason why I specifically am not really for them, like I'm not necessarily against specific diets, but I'm just not a big fan of them because most of these big diets, like the vegan diet, the keto diet, they exclude a big food group out of your diet. For example, the keto diet gets rid of all carbs out of your diet. And I get it's maybe a good idea to maybe do in the short term, maybe just to reduce your calories and just like not have carbs for a while. But I'm all about longevity and sustainability. And if you can really see yourself never eating carbs again for the rest of your life, then please go ahead and do so. But I guarantee you 99.9999% of most people are not able to because life is just so much better with carbs. Like, could you really see yourself never eating bread again, pasta, pizza, like even like burger, like most foods have carbs in them, right? And so, like I said, yes, if it's for a short amount of time, sure, go ahead, do it. But even then, it's like the rebound effect because you see so many people maybe on magazines saying like, oh, I lost 20 pounds following the keto diet. What they don't show you, and this is really what bothers me, is what happened after, like what happened to them afterwards. Did they gain all the weight back again? If not more? Most likely they did because the rebound effect is so severe. Once you drastically just like limit or just like starve yourself or like just like not allow yourself to have this one single macronutrient, you're automatically psychologically, our brains are just going to like start craving that certain food right away simply because you've eliminated it or restricted it from your entire diet. I guarantee you right now, if I tell you that you can never have donuts again, well, guess what? You're automatically going to start craving donuts. I guarantee you're craving donuts right now, right? And so it's really important not to have this mindset of just like eliminating food just for the sake of eliminating them. And by the way, most of these comments, why they may be successful for some people, before we move over into the actual topic of today's presentation, the reason why they're so successful for most people, or at least for some of them, is because they simply do one thing. The keto diets, the paleo diets, the carnivore diets, the vegan diet, all these diets, the main thing they all have in common is they put you in a calorie deficit. I mean, yeah, you restrict an entire food group. You can't, on the vegan diet, you can't have any meats, you can't have any animal products. I mean, you are excluding an entire food group. And just by you simply just like getting rid of that, you will automatically just like start to like reduce your caloric intake, right? Because now that you can't have beef anymore, you can't have chicken anymore, you can't have eggs anymore. It's like, unless you replace that with something more calorically dense, which a lot of people do actually do. But let's say you don't replace it and you just have your normal meal without that thing that you would normally have that you have now eliminated, you will on average just like automatically just reduce your calories. Boom, you're in a calorie deficit. Or you could do it in a more sustainable way and just still eat your favorite foods, still eat your carbs, still eat your fats, still eat your proteins, and just like eat less of it on average. Wow, mind blowing. I know, right? But I just wanted to get that off my chest because A lot of people still ask me this question, and I definitely don't blame them. But yeah, just wanted to get that point across to you guys. So last time, like I mentioned, we figured out how many calories you need to maintain your weight. So really quickly, 200 pounds. We took a 200-pound individual. He wants to maintain his weight. Multiply by 15. That'll equal to 3,000 calories. So with our maintenance calories, you can either add or subtract calories to that to put you in a calorie surplus or a calorie deficit. This usually ranges from about 250 to 500 calories on top of your maintenance or below your maintenance. And now it is finally time to fill those calories with the macronutrients that we just talked about. Really quickly, what do these macronutrients actually do? I'm sure you guys have already heard of protein, carbs, and fats before, but what do they actually do? The most common one, protein, I'm sure you guys have heard this in the bodybuilding space, in the fitness space before, people telling you how important protein is. And simply just to break it all down, I want you guys to imagine like tiny workers in your body that try to fix, build, and repair your muscles. That's simply what protein does. It helps recover and rebuild your muscles after them tearing apart in the gym. And examples of protein include chicken breast or any type of chicken, beef, fish, eggs, any dairy products, all that good stuff includes protein. And now protein, this is really important to keep in mind for later on in today's presentation, but protein has 4 calories per gram. Really important to keep that in mind because we'll be using that in our calculations later today. Next up are carbohydrates. This is your body's favorite source of energy. So whether you're lifting weights, are simply running errands throughout the day, going on a walk, or simply just like want to study and just like concentrate, carbs are your body's and brain's preferred source of energy. Examples include whole grains, fruits, and vegetables. And these also have 4 calories per gram. And now lastly will be fats. This is your body's almost like reserve energy source, and it also helps optimizes your hormone levels, like your testosterone, your libido, your sex drive, all that good stuff. So examples includes any type of oil, olive oil, coconut oil, any type of nut butter, pistachios, cashews, almonds, peanuts, seeds, chia seeds, flax seeds, and avocados. And fats have 9 calories per gram. Now let's start with protein. So in order to figure out how much protein you need, this is probably the most simplest calculation you'll ever need. So you're going to simply take your body weight in pounds and multiply it by 1. I know that's going to be tough, and you may have to grab your calculator for this one. So using our example, our 200-pound male, 200 pounds multiplied by 1 equals 200 grams of protein. And so like I mentioned at the beginning, protein has 4 calories per gram. So we're basically going to take 200 grams of protein times 4, which equals 800 calories are coming from protein. So from our 3,000 calorie goal, 800 of those calories are going to come from protein. Now, eating 0.8 grams per pound of body weight of protein is fine when you're bulking, and having 1.2 grams per pound of body weight of protein is fine when you're cutting. And the reason for that, guys, is because protein is the most satiating macronutrient in your body, which basically means that it takes a bit longer for your body to like fully break down and digest compared to like carbs and fats. And so what that means is that protein can help you stay fuller for longer. It's a lot more satiating. And a quick little example I want to give to you guys is whenever people binge on their diets, right? You often hear them binge on like some fatty, sugary foods, whether it's like the donuts, the pizzas, like all this like tasty foods. Whereas you never really hear anyone say like, oh, dude, like I just binged on my diet. I'm like, okay, well, what did you have? Like, oh, I just had 20 chicken breasts. Like, who does that? Like, no one actually binges on chicken breasts. No one binges on like fish, salmon, beef, steak. No one binges on that. And that's because it's very, very filling for the amount of calories you get. And so the reason why it's good to eat a bit more protein when you're cutting, not only does it help preserve the muscle mass while you're trying to lose your body fat and while you're in a deficit, it also helps you stay fuller for longer. So if hunger is a big issue for you, if you're a big eater like myself, and you notice that when you're on a fat loss phase, you just tend to get like super, super hungry, increasing your protein intake will definitely not be a bad idea. And now in the reverse, let's say you're trying to bulk up and you're eating in a big calorie surplus. Let's say you're eating 3,500 calories, you're in a 500 calorie surplus, and the last thing you want to do is eat like you are just so not hungry. You are the opposite of hungry. Well, then it's a great idea to just maybe reduce your protein intake just by a tad. You should still eat your protein 100%. We're just reducing it to about 0.8 grams per pound of body weight. And that just leaves a bit more room for the tastier foods like the carbs and the fats, which again, do not take as long for your body to like fully break down and digest as protein would. So those are a couple of things to keep in mind, whether you're bulking or cutting. But a good rule of thumb to keep in mind is just to keep things standardized, 1 gram per pound of body weight. Even if you're bulking, that's fine. Even when you're cutting, that's fine as well. Those are just some added hacks hacks and tips that you guys can implement if and when hunger does become an issue. But for most people, just 1 gram per pound of body weight, whether you're bulking, cutting, or maintaining, is a good kind of rule of thumb to keep in mind. Now let's move over to the fats. So when it comes to the fats, I want you guys to take your body weight in pounds and multiply it by 0.4. So 200 pounds or 200 pound male example, multiplied by 0.4 will equal to 80 grams of fat. So like I mentioned, fat has 9 calories per gram. So 80 grams of fat multiplied by 9 equals 720 calories are going to be coming from fat. Now, 0.3 grams per pound of body weight is the bare, and I mean bare minimum for when you're cutting, because as you are cutting, reducing your calories, you obviously have to like get rid of your calories from somewhere, right? Usually it's in the form of carbs as well, but a lot of people like to slash their fats by a lot as well. That's a really bad idea. I made that mistake personally when I did my bodybuilding show. I was eating down to like 1,500 calories every single day. It was absolutely just like horrendous. And I was still eating enough protein. I was eating a lot of protein actually because I was so hungry all the time. I eat up to like 200 grams of protein when I weighed like 140 pounds. Like it was a long time ago, basically. But yeah, I slashed my fats by a lot. And the reason why that's bad is because, like I mentioned at the beginning, fats are absolutely essential to optimize your hormones, your testosterone, your estrogen levels, your libido, your sex drive, all that good stuff. If you limit your fat intake, your testosterone levels, your estrogen levels, all your hormones will just like go all out of whack, and you're just not gonna find yourself in a happy, fun, energized situation. Like it's not fun as well at all. Like if you have no sex drive, if you have no energy, if you have no like no oomph, like no drive, which is where the hormones kind of come from, like it's gonna be very difficult just to like go through life, right? And that is why the bare minimum is 0.3 grams per pound of body weight. 0.4 is a nice little like in the middle spot. Up to 0.5 grams per pound of body weight of fat is fine as well. You may definitely 100%, if you want to exceed this number, you can definitely go above 0.5 grams of fat per pound of body weight if hunger is an issue. And the reason for that is because if you are not hungry at all, and let's say you already reduced your protein intake to 0.8 grams per pound of body weight, by increasing your fat intake, and here's what's so cool, is because fats have 9 calories per gram, pretty much almost double the amount of calories that carbs and protein do. And so if you're bulking right now, and if you're just like not hungry at all, like you just hate eating, I would definitely encourage you to increase your fat intake because there's such a calorically dense food. It means that you can eat a lot more calories for not as much volume. So again, think of like your olive oils, your coconut oils, your nut butters. Peanut butter is such a big hack when you're bulking because 1 little tablespoon is like 100 calories and you can just eat it by a tablespoon and like it won't even feel like you ate anything, right? 2 tablespoons of that on top of your oatmeal, for example, will add an extra 200 calories. Also with the same thing with like olive oil, if you have your plain chicken and rice meal, just add a couple drizzles of olive oil. 1 tablespoon has around 120 calories. So 2 tablespoons of that is an easy 240 calories on top of your meal without you even like noticing it, right? So if you're bulking and you struggle getting enough calories in on a consistent basis, then I would say exceeding the 0.4 minimum of fat is definitely a good idea, and I would definitely advise it. Now, last but certainly not least is their carbohydrates. Basically, this is super simple. You're going to fill the rest of your calories with carbs. And so far, we have 800 calories coming from protein. We have 720 calories coming from fat, which is a total of 1,520 calories that we have used up so far of our daily 3,000 calorie goal. And so like I said, our daily calorie goal is 3,000 calories to maintain our weight. All we have to do now is simply subtract 1,520 calories from the 3,000 calorie goal, which will equal to 1,480 calories left over. Now we're going to take 1,480 calories, which is the amount of calories that are left over, divided by 4, which again, carbs have 4 calories per gram, which will equal to 370 grams of carbs total. And so I highly advise you to take a screenshot of this. If you guys are watching the podcast, definitely recommend you to actually watch the visual video so you guys can take a screenshot of this, do the math on your own. And so to conclude all of this together, this 200-pound person that we've used as an example so far who wants to maintain his weight, which by the way is again 3,000 calories, will need 200 grams of protein, 370 grams of carbs, and 80 grams of fat. And so that is, ladies and gentlemen, how you can figure out how many macros you need based on your goals, based on your height, and based on your activity level, based on all that good stuff. So hopefully this wasn't too complicated for you guys. And I guarantee you, if you take note of this, if you just write it down in your notes app or maybe on a piece of paper, it's not really a formula that you really necessarily have to remember. As long as you kind of like know the formula and have it written down somewhere, it makes figuring out not only your calories, but your macronutrients effortless. It makes it so much easier because, as you guys can tell, there's not a whole lot of math required here. Like, you don't need a degree in mathematics or in algebra or in arithmetic to like be able to do this. All you need is just pull out your calculator and just do this. It should honestly take about 5 minutes max if you do this with like enough focus. So that's what I have for you guys in today's presentation. And now next time we're going to be talking about adjustments, because yes, there will come a point in time when your body will just hit a wall. You'll hit a plateau. You'll have X amount of calories. Let's say you want to lose weight. You're chipping away the fats. You're losing weight every single week. It's all going good until 1 week. Suddenly you just have not lost any weight. You feel frustrated. You feel demotivated. You're like, what is going on? That is when we have to make adjustments to our calories and to our macronutrients as well, which I'll talk about next time. So with that out of the way, I'm going to let you go. As always, any questions, let me know, and I'll see y'all soon. Peace.